Good day and welcome to SCO BRICS Insight, where we look at what's really going on in the world of the BRICS. Now, the election of Donald Trump in the United States has caused some discussion around the world, particularly in regards to the energy. Now, it's expected that the global energy landscape is likely to change and countries like Russia will have to adapt to the new circumstances. So let's look at what's likely to occur. Well, firstly, a Donald Trump presidency will introduce further uncertainty to the international energy markets. The future US president has repeatedly stated that he intends to use lower commodity prices to both stimulate his own economy and as a tool to pressure oil-producing countries, including Russia. Now, Mr. Trump has two potential avenues for reducing prices: its sanctions policy and the stimulation of oil and gas production in the USA. Now, it seems reasonable to suppose that the partial lifting of American sanctions on Venezuela or Iran will result in the release of additional barrels and cubic meters of oil and gas, which have flooded the market, and will contribute to a reduction in prices. However, it's unclear whether these volumes will be sufficient to overcome the obstacles that OPEC Plus has actually introduced. The expanded cartel continues to fool its production obligations on the limitation of the amount of oil in the market. However, it's also the case that some members of the organisation are experiencing some sort of fatigue because of the prolonged period of austerity and want to open the taps. Now, an increase in hydrocarbons production in the US represents another effective mechanism for influencing the market. We have the largest black gold reserves in the world. Saudi Arabia are both surpassed by us in this regard, Mr. Trump said shortly after declaring his victory in the election. Indeed, the volume of raw materials produced by the US has exceeded Russian figures for certain periods of time. The shale revolution has enabled the US to transition from being a net importer to a large exporter of hydrocarbons. However, there are two potential issues with this tool: geology and pricing. Now, a substantial portion of the largest shale deposits are currently undergoing their second phase of production, and this is evidence of a decline in the volume of heavy fractions, which are oil, and an increase in the share of light fractions, which are gas. The drilling of new wells at existing deposits can provide a short-term boost to production, but that's not going to be economically viable in the long term. Now, that gives rise to the second issue, namely the cost of production. And the cost of production in the US is considerably higher than that of Russia and Saudi Arabia. Now, given a price of $40 per barrel, it's unlikely that the US will produce more oil. In fact, it's much more likely to reduce it. Now, before I continue, I'd like to make an appeal. If you like and enjoy my videos, you can help me fund the channel and my website, SCOBRICSinsight.com, and to further develop it. You can do this by making a small donation, which is done by clicking on the thanks button at the bottom of the video screen. Everybody who does donate gets a personal thank you from me, and I'm thanking you all now just for watching, because every viewer is important to me. Now, this indicates that despite the assertive rhetoric, the President-elect has limited time capacity to influence the global energy markets. Another factor to consider is the current dynamics of global economic development, which is exerting the main pressure on oil and gas prices. The slower than anticipated growth of the Chinese economy and the possibility of a new round of trade tensions between Beijing and Washington under Trump are contributing to a reduction in the demand for raw materials. The European Union's already experiencing a recession, and the United States is not showing any signs of serious recovery. It's only its stock markets are growing and its economy certainly isn't. The World Bank has forecast that global commodity prices may fall to 5-year lows in 2025. Now, based on that forecast, the average oil price in 2024 is expected to be around $80 per barrel, which is projected to decline to $73 in 2025. Now, given the current discounts on the Russian Urals grade of Brent to Brent of about $5 to $10, the price for Russian oil may reach $60 to $65, which is below the current Russian budget estimates. Reduction in prices will result in the National Welfare Fund being used rather than being added to with the amount of revenue. And that's a secure option in the medium term. It's not a favourable one in the long term. I mean, the Russian energy strategy till 2050, recently revised by the Ministry of Energy and submitted to the government, looks to question what Russia needs to do to intend to deal with these visible risks. Now, in contrast to the more short-term approach of balancing the market and the current energy policy, Russia and its allies and partners, the strategy addresses the question of the long-term perspective and the role of the Russian energy sector. Now, in addition to the target and conservative strategies, they've actually revised their whole outlook, and it contains a stress scenario for the industry, assuming a number of things. I mean, the scenarios assume, for example, a complete halt in oil exports by 2050. That's unlikely. Now, the scenario also optimistic. It doesn't assume any significant increase in oil production. And the 2030 to 2050 production is expected to grow by slightly more than 1.5% and reach 540 million tonnes. The inertial scenario anticipates a decline to 360, while the stress scenario is a reduction to 171 million tonnes. Even in the stress scenario, Russian exports would be reduced to zero, but the production would be processed domestically and used there. In other words, even the target scenario indicates that oil production and export have reached a plateau, and the key question is how long this plateau will remain before it drops down. Now, the situation with gas is pretty distinct. The total volume of gas in 2023 was 638 billion cubic metres. By 2030, the figure is projected to reach 853 billion cubic metres and an estimated 1.107 trillion cubic metres by 2035. Currently, there's a potential for gas exports to increase by almost threefold, from 146 billion cubic metres to 438 billion. The primary growth in export potential will be driven by liquefied natural gas, which is set to surpass pipeline deliveries in volume. I mean, the current ratio is exported gas is 70% pipeline, 30% LNG. By 2050, that'll have turned around. 55% of gas will be delivered in LNG form by sea transport. Now, the strategy also places equal priority on the domestic market for both oil and gas, and the primary focus is on chemistry. Polymer production is set to become one of Russia's key competitive advantage, offering potential for growth and high profitability. Now, the gas which has been processed as the ethane and liquefied petroleum gases will serve as raw material for gas chemical production. Now, the largest of these facilities is the Amur gas chemical complex, which we completed in 2027. This is being done by the Russian SBR and China's Sinopec. Now, the Amur gas chemical complex will produce basic polymers like polyethylene and polypropylene. It will also develop specialist polymers with a wide range of applications for use in things like construction as a structural material, complementing and replacing steel, also for use in medicine and space developments. I mean, polymers have the potential to become a key driver for Russia's technological advancement, enabling the country to have a competitive edge over more currently technologically advanced nations. Now, this offers limitless potential for the application of scientific developments, indicating that the global polymer market is poised for significant growth, and it's crucial that Russia maintain its presence in this significant oil and gas territory. It's also crucial for the country to grasp the direction of the technological advancement and how it can leverage inherent competitive edge in this technological landscape. There's also specialty gases like helium, which are very lucrative for sales on the world market, and Russia's pursuing a strategy of accelerated helium production. In a few years, Russia's share of global helium production will grow from 2% to 30%. Now, helium's used in the high-tech sector, where it's used in the production of LCD displays, optical fibres, superconductors, medical equipment, and breathing mixtures. Plus, helium is utilised in the nuclear sector and also for the production of components for mobile phones, tablets, and space technologies. So it's widely used and gas. It's also inert, which means it doesn't react with other substances, which is vital quality for manufacturers of electronic components, and it prevents other gases or contaminants from entering the microchip. Additionally, helium is highly effective at absorbing heat, making it an optimal choice for cooling applications. Now it's fertilisers. Obviously, Russia's fertiliser exports have undergone a serious shift in recent years due to sanctions pressure, though not to the extent that might have been expected. Yeah, the EU still continues to buy, but not in the same volumes, mainly because its agriculture is suffering. India and Brazil remain very large sales market. I mean, Russia's fertiliser sales to India are over 4.3 million tonnes, and that's basically because of an expansion of phosphate fertilisers. In 2023, it's expected that it was up by another 1.5 times. So the fertiliser market is again one of these that's made from gas, and that's one of the major particular things. Anyway, so Russia is now looking at polymers, LNG, gases and fertilisers. So that's really where Russia sees its future in gas, and it's all with value-added products. So there we have it. That's where Russia sees it going. It's not going to just be a gas station anymore. Thank you for watching. I hope you like and subscribe, and please use the comments to let me know how you feel and what your opinion is, and I look forward to seeing you all again. Thank you.